Okay, I just finished tuning the piano, and we're here at the Spruce Peak Performing Arts Center. I want to just give you a little review of what I'm encountering on the instrument. There are 4 ways that piano wire settles. One of them is by touch response. We're going to talk about all 4, but 3 of them are really going on here. Touch response, I have to knock the piano into tune so that a musician can't knock it out of tune with 100 normal strikes. So I really hit the piano very hard. That's referred to as the action. The other way a piano is settled is by the tuning pin, which I'm flying blind here, I can't tell where I'm pointing. Tuning pin, that's what the wire is wrapped around, and then how it settles on the soundboard, as well as settling the wire. So we're settling the pin, we're settling the wire, and we're settling on the soundboard. So let's talk with our hands for a minute. The wire is coiled around the tuning pin. We see about 1 inch of the tuning pin. There's another 2 inches of pin that we don't see that's driven into the pin block. The pin block is several laminations of rock maple. Based on the age of this piano and the quality of the build, it's probably 7 laminations of rock maple. 7 different layers of rock maple going in different directions, because wood has a better end grip than it does a through grip. If you had this beautiful piece of maple and you drilled a bunch of holes in it and hammered a bunch of pins into it, it would just crack along the grain. So we've got all these different layers of maple going in different directions so that the pin is always gripped by end grip. And as the piano ages, 1 or more of these laminations can start to fatigue and it will still hold tension. So when we talk about settling the pin, we're talking about how does that tuning pin physically get held by those laminations of wood. The piano has a memory. When you've got the tuning pin is a finely threaded screw. And when you've got a brand new piano, the wood has no idea about that pin. It's just been in there, just been hammered in there. As the piano ages and as the tuning pin gets moved to tune it, the wood takes on a memory of the exact threading of that finely threaded screw. And the tuning pin will get a sweet spot. And that's based on the technician and based on the room, because the wood breathes with the room. So when I've tuned a piano a couple times, it remembers me. It remembers, oh, you put the pin here last time. And it's physically wanting to hold the pin where I put it last time. So that's settling the pin. Settling the wire, flying blind here. So just talking with my hands again. So the wire there's a coil around the wire. When I turn that pin, the first part of the tuning pin to turn, it twists on the top before it twists on the bottom. Based on the laminations, there's more holding going on at the bottom of the pin than the top. So part of settling the wire is making sure that the pin is not still twisted. When you have a very young piano, you can turn that pin and it'll settle sonically while being twisted, but not physically settled. So settling the wire means we have to make sure that the pin is not twisted. It also means that all of the change on the wire has been brought out into the speaking length. So there's a coil around the tuning pin, and then it goes through something that's called an A-graph. And I'm just going to fly blind and point to it. Those are your A-graphs. And that's the beginning of the speaking length. That's the termination of the speaking length. And that wire goes through a direction change as it goes through that A-graph, or in the high end as it goes under the capo bar. Every time there's a direction change, there's friction, and every time there's friction, there's latent motion. So you could imagine if I was stretching a rubber band over my finger here, it would be really stretched here and not really stretched there. So when I'm knocking the piano into tune, I'm using the maximum force to the wire to draw out any change over that direction and friction. So settling the wire goes through the A-graph. The A-graph is brass. The wire is steel. And when the piano was invented a couple hundred years ago, they had no idea why, but they experimented and realized that, oh, these 2 components don't interfere with each other. I can put this wire anywhere I want, and it's going to let me settle it there. The reason is because they're molecularly different shapes. If you zoom in on the steel, it will look like a crenellated surface. And if you zoom in on the brass A-graph, it will look like half rounds. And so those 2 shapes do not interfere with each other. And as long as you're settling that wire, you can get that note anywhere you want. As the piano ages, under the amount of friction that the instrument requires in order to work, the steel string will embed itself into the brass A-graph, or the steel string will rub brass onto itself. So now you have tuning a zipper, right? Where I'm two crenellated surfaces, I'll go here and I'll go there. And Murphy's law indicates that the note I'm looking for is not in the zipper. Or corresponding with the rubbing the brass onto the steel, we've got these two half-round surfaces where I'm looking for it to stay right there, but hey, there's incentive for the wire to settle downhill, so to speak, because of embedded brass. And then the last way the piano settles is down bearing on the soundboard. The soundboard of every piano has a crown to it. On an upright, it's a belly pushing out. On a grand, it's a slightly arched ceiling. And that the curvature of the soundboard is so that it rings optimally like a speaker. And let's say we've got a piano that hasn't been tuned in 10 years. Well, that means that the down-bearing force of the strings is wildly insufficient, and the crown of the soundboard is going to sit at this huge exaggerated posture. And then as I start tuning, I'm compressing down on that curve, and then I'm going to go down into the bass and tune down there, and this is happening underneath the down-bearing change that I'm putting onto the tuning. So that happens no matter what, even on a piano that was tuned yesterday, even on the piano I just finished tuning, every change you make has a corresponding effect, smaller and smaller depending on the changes that I have to bring. If I am compressing that dome, the neighboring areas bulge. Doesn't matter, it could be 10 years, it could be 10 minutes. It's fluid. So let's talk about how those three, the pin, the wire, and the crown of the soundboard combine to make me frustrated. This piano is past its concert life, and we're in a bad season. It's been a really long, really dry and aggressive winter, which means that the wood of the pin block has no moisture in it. We have a humidity control system, and we do maintain it, so everybody's doing their best, but the wood is old, and it's aging, and so it can't grip the pin as much as we would like. And the wire has tons of sweet spots on it where it's got, I can hear it when I'm tuning, ting, 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 ting. It's bouncing between the notches of the zipper or sliding down on the brass hill. And everything here is stacked on each other. This is all built in audio triangulation. No note exists in isolation. They're measured to play in harmony with each other. So when you've got one tuning pin that I'll only give you right next to what you want, everything related to that takes on that inaccuracy. So it's compounding. And I'm in a spot now where I know I don't like that interval. I'd like it to be just a little, but the piano's physically not going to do it. And if I force it to, then the crown of the soundboard shows it because it's actually at a higher tension than it sounds because the wire is being caught up on the brass A-graph. So this is normal. It's all very normal stuff. It's also super frustrating because you're trying to deliver. It's like a high performance car and like, oh, one tire is slightly flat, but that really matters when you're trying to drive the thing. So all of these things add up to compromise that I don't want to be. There's already a compromise. I'm already dealing with inharmonic stuff that you have to just have a personal preference and a relationship with. But the instrument is limiting my options. So there's literally an infinite amount of ways you can tune a piano and have it still be in tune. A note is one spot, but that spot is very big and it's a cycle, it's moving. So, but the physical limitations of this instrument are frustrating me from putting everything what I want and having all the choices that I want, and they're compounding.